They say a rainy night is the safest time to stay inside, but some of the most chilling stories begin exactly when the world outside seems quiet, safe, and still. So tonight, as the rain falls and thunder echoes through the distance, lock your doors, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself for what lurks in the shadows. These are 3 real, terrifying tales. Dark, disturbing, and unexplainable, perfect for a rainy night alone. Story 1. The Man in the Hallway. It was early November. The air was cold and the nights were long. My name is Aaron, and I had just moved into a quiet apartment in the outskirts of Portland. I lived alone. The place wasn't fancy, but it was cozy. An old brick building with creaky floors and thin walls. I was used to living by myself, so the silence never bothered me. Not until that night. It started with the light. Around 2 a.m., I was woken up by a flickering coming from the hallway. My bedroom door was slightly open, just enough for the hallway light to peek in. I squinted. The light outside was turning on, then off. On, then off. At first, I thought it was just faulty wiring, an old building glitch. But then I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. I sat up in bed, my heart starting to pound. I live alone. I told myself it had to be my upstairs neighbor. Maybe I was just hearing things through the floor, but the footsteps sounded too close, too real. I grabbed my phone, 2:14 a.m. I opened the door fully and peeked out. Nothing. But the hallway light, it was off, completely dead. The switch didn't work. I stood there, in the dark, until I heard it again. A deep, creaking sound, like weight shifting on an old wooden floor, coming from behind me. I turned around fast. Nothing. Just the dim outlines of my bedroom furniture. Then came the whisper. "Aaron." It was faint, almost as if the sound had been carried through the walls. I stood frozen, my blood cold. I slowly backed toward my bed, not daring to make a sound. The next morning, I convinced myself it was a dream. Sleep paralysis. Something rational. But that evening, it happened again. This time, I recorded it. I set up my phone in the hallway on video mode and left the lights on. I wanted to catch the flickering, or the sound. Something to prove I wasn't losing my mind. At 1:58 a.m., the lights went off. At 2:01 a.m., the camera caught movement. A shadow. Human-sized. Walking slowly toward my bedroom door. At 2:03 a.m., a voice, clear as day. "Aaron, you left me here." I never told anyone this, but when I was 14, my twin brother drowned in a lake behind my grandparents' cabin. I was with him. I was the one who dared him to go in. He didn't come back up. We never recovered his body. I moved out 2 days later. I don't know what followed me or what it wants, but sometimes, when it rains and the hallway goes dark, I still hear it whisper my name. Story 2. The sound and the static. Have you ever heard something in white noise? Like, really heard it? My name's Jason. I was a sound engineer for a local news station. One of those people who sit in a booth, mixing audio levels while the anchors read the headlines. I dealt with all kinds of noise, feedback, frequencies. You get used to it. But one night, I picked up something wrong. We were testing emergency broadcast signals. Routine stuff. We play the high-pitched tone, see if it reaches all the counties, then move on. Except this time, the tone never stopped. Instead of ending, it warped. The sound shifted into something garbled, like a voice buried beneath static. It made the hair on my arms stand up. I recorded it. When I isolated the track later, it was clearer. It was a woman's voice, pleading. "Please, I can't get out. Help me." It wasn't part of the broadcast. I checked. Nothing in the code or file. I played it for my supervisor. He didn't hear it. Just static. I spent the next few nights trying to recreate it, running different mixes, trying different outputs. But then, strange things started happening. When I played the static at home, my lights flickered. My dog growled at the speaker. I started seeing things in the corner of my eye. A woman, long hair, face obscured, standing in the corner of the room, watching me. One night, I left the static recording on loop while I slept. Around 3:11 a.m., I woke up suddenly. Everything was cold, my breath visible in the air. My TV was on, playing nothing but static. And in the static, I saw her, just for a moment. Her face was inches from the screen, pale, rotting, eyes blackened, mouth open in a silent scream. She lunged. I ripped the plug from the wall. The next day, I tried playing the tape at work again, but the file was gone, corrupted, beyond recovery. The sound was never meant to be captured. Since then, every time I hear static on a TV, radio, or phone, I get this cold feeling down my spine, because I know she's still there, trapped, screaming, and listening. Story 3. The Visitor in Room 12. B. There's a small motel off Route 17 in southern Ohio. If you're ever passing through, you might see it. Miller's Rest Inn. Cheap rooms, cracked pavement, flickering neon sign. My name's Ellie. I worked there for a year during college, night shift, mostly quiet, until Room 12B. It started with a booking that shouldn't have existed. I was doing inventory when the system showed a check-in for Room 12B, paid in cash. No ID. Name listed only as M. The weird thing is, we don't have a 12B, just Room 12. Nothing next to it. I figured it was a glitch, but later that night I saw a light on in the non-existent room. Through the security monitor, a dim glow spilled from what should have been a blank wall. I went outside to check. Room 12 was dark, empty, but next to it, there was a door, one I swear hadn't been there before. Numbered 12B. I knocked, no answer. Something compelled me to open it. Inside, it looked like a regular motel room, bed, TV, lamp, but everything was old, decades out of date, the wallpaper peeling, a black and white TV playing static, no guest. I backed out fast, locked the main office. The next night I found a key left on the front desk, marked 12B. No note, no guest name. I should have ignored it. But I didn't. I opened the room again. This time, there was a figure on the bed, facing the wall, motionless. I called out, no response. I took a step closer. The figure moved. It twisted its head, fully backwards, to look at me. Its face wasn't human. A wide, permanent grin stretched across waxy skin. Eyes like black marbles. I ran, called the cops. They found nothing. No Room 12B, no door, nothing on the surveillance tapes, just static. I quit the next day. But sometimes, I dream of that room, of that face, and I always wake up at 3:17 a.m. to find a motel key sitting beside my bed. Rain can be comforting, but it can also mask things. Footsteps, voices, the whisper of someone or something lurking just beyond your reach. Tonight, when the rain grows heavier and the shadows stretch long, remember these stories and ask yourself, are you truly alone?